Oh, oh God, my hair is a fucking mess today, man. Welcome to the stream, ladies and gentlemen. Oh God. Ah, ah. Honestly, it's because I'm sweating a little bit. Fuck. Anyways, welcome to the stream. Today is a new set release, set 10 of TFT PB, and I have some terrible news to let you know. I can stream for like 2 hours. There's a little meeting I have to go to at 6:30, and I'll probably be back streaming right after. But yeah, I'll be gone for a little bit, so it'll be a little bit of break in our stream. But I still wanted to do it as soon as it came up. It just sucks that the PB is not up yet. I just ended up eating lunch. I just made some sausage and eggs because my sausage is almost expired, so I had to make a quick meal. But I hope everyone's doing pretty good. Evertech, welcome back for 92 months. Thanks for something. Thanks for being the first sub of the day. But yeah, there's play half strokes of PB. Hell no, I'm playing Liza P PB. Lion till what is half sword, man? Oh, I'm good. I don't think they'll fix it in the next 44 hours. Wait, really? No. No. That innocent. I just heard someone fall outside my door, and I'm not gonna check. Because if they broke their ankle, I can't leave my stream for it. What's in the game? Anyways, while we're here, I'm gonna be playing Liza P while we're chilling. And hopefully the TFT comes up at some point, or else I'm gonna have to do this the whole time. Okay, what was I doing? What was I doing? I just did a quest here. No, I did not. I'm fighting the boss. Bro, this boss sucks, man. I don't want to be here. Yeah, it's Illusion Witch. This boss actually fucking sucks. It's okay. Oh. Oh my God. My parry. It looks like I stabbed myself on the fall, man. Hey now, hey now. Oh no, welcome back for 44 months. Thanks for subbing. With the sets 10 scheduled to break PB, bro, no one knows. Somewhere. Wait, I didn't fall down? Yeah, I turned on my music this PB for the first time ever. Sorry I didn't respond to your selfie last night on Snapchat. No problem, dude. bitch. No! Wow. Zippers hello. I'm back for 45 months. It's me, the angel from your nightmare. Bro, I fucking fighting my paralysis demon right now, man. Rachel Knack, welcome back for 20. Welcome back for 20 months. Thanks. I went to Kajiro recently. My friend and I went a week ago and I loved it. Oh, you okay. The funniest thing is I think they got a little bit worse. I think every restaurant got a little bit worse after COVID, both in price and in quality, but I'm glad you liked it. It's still one of my favorite places. Very chill place. I really love the vibes. Our server was so nice. Yeah, actually, Tofu and Kyle were my favorite. Yeah, those are awesome. I think in terms of LA, trying to think what food I really like. Huh. I've been meaning to go to a Taiwanese cafe recently, but I have not found the time. Do I just set 10 rundown? Yep. Watch of the Day came out. Ever go to the Izukai Gazen? It's right by Kenjiro. I have not. If it's right by Kenjiro, I don't trust it. That plaza has lines for good food. There's only 2 places it has lines for. Sushi Gen and the drink place across the street. And if I don't know about it, I mean it's not that good. Like that the plaza place. Fuck. I gotta go on TFT. You think it's good enough or should I get plat? I just played 5 games only, bro. Do whatever you want. The pasta place is bad. I would say it's whatever. I've been there. I ate there. And I was not impressed. I think they do like uni pasta, some weird fusion. It's just not as good as I wanted it to be. I think there's a lot of good pasta places in LA, and going there is like a waste of your money. And if you're going in that area for food, I would not go there because I would just go to like the udon place nearby. It's very meh. I've never seen her do that move before. Electro, welcome back for 14 months. Thanks for your subbing. I Stockholm myself into liking this class, bro. You still play Lost Ark? Who even plays that game? I love you. You're an amazing person. Keep up the work. Well, thank you for the long support, man. You ain't clear Brel G4 Heart, but I mean, you're pretty much at the Icon eye level, you know. You might as well stick around for Icon. Super Apricot, welcome back for 37 months. Thanks for subbing. She missed her attack. Is that even my fault? Bob McKay, welcome back for 13 months. Thanks for subbing. First one to attack me gets fuck. I missed my parry. This way. No, that was the I think in that phase what happens is she sends out a clone and the clone does less damage. So I got beat up by her fucking alter ego who's like half of as strong as she is. We got so lucky she used that move. Wait. No, it didn't work, man. I did too soon. Fuck. I don't think there's a fist. If she does, I'm going to go play Valorant. Dude, the worst, I know normal parrying this boss is so easy. Are you serious? But trying to do the extra parry is so hard, man. That Bro gave 4 hard modes, pencil band, we die in T3 hits? Really? What special parry do? It instantly stops her combo, whatever it is. She gets staggered. And then you add a lot of stagger, and I think you do 4x your normal damage, and you're guaranteed an auto. So it's just like, it's like the sword speedrunners use. No hit runs, speed runs. It's just actually like, it's like if you hit them with it, they're just fucking dead. If I hit like 2 and on this boss, she's just dead. Fuck. Oh, I killed the second. Okay, so I can't kill the ad in one Fable art. That's cool. Which there's a way to see a stagger a bar of enemies. Yeah, I don't think any game lets you do that. Even Sekiro actually hid the information until the very end, and so does Elden Ring. And so it's like, you just don't know. Sekiro's combat is so basic, but so good. So, like, if you could keep up damage, you stagger them more, you parry them more, and you feel like a god. When you're in the zone, when you're playing Sekiro, it's probably the most fun I've ever had. I fucked up. Maybe second bar. Oh, maybe it's Sekiro. There was one actually. Guys, this game sucks. Four hits at the very beginning. I can't believe she does this, man. If you stagger her, she just fucking uses her stupid ass. No. This sword is so hard, man. How do you fucking God, man? This sword is so hard. I can kill it normally. I'm positive I switched to my other weapon, I can kill it no problem. But I really want to kill it with, like, I really want to practice this weapon, so I'm just doing it. But man, this, oh, man, this fucking boss sucks. How did I miss that though? Like, it's completely telegraphed. I'm doing my stupid parry move and I missed it. And it feels like the timing was there. So it's too the same for me. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's very unforgiving. It feels that way. I feel like Perfect Guard has, is it less, like more frames, right? This feels like the frames are so tight. Very sure, yeah, it is. Is the parry window the same? Oh, the Perfect Guard has more window. Right. Of course. I think the one who the first one that approaches you is always the fake one, right? Did I run out of stamina there? Something happened. I was dodging and I ran out of stamina. I might respect my entire P. I might respect my P organ right now. I'm pretty sure I'm respecting my P organ. Subtitles, please take someone of this. I need to get rid of some though. Try close captioning, just press the CC button. Hit the PvP client, just tell me if it's up. Oh, it's up? Okay, cool. Oh, I don't have the PvE client. Oh no. Where do I download that stuff? I see, it's right here. It's not up? Oh, well, I need to install anyway, so that's fine. Okay.
Whatever choice you make, I shall wait for you. That is why I'm the listener, to bear witness.
Okay. I need to go reset do all my P work and stuff, right? I can't believe it's not a boss that makes me respect. It's a fucking mini boss. I think I am not gonna grief my stupid stuff. Okay. I have a lot of like gain extra ergo on kill stuff, which is just completely stupid. Oh wait, I can forgot about this.
What serving her? Welcome. This is I shall open it. No
wait.
matter what serving. Welcome.
Can I buy quartz? I buy a full moonstone? Oh shit. Wait. So I need 60. Oh, I'm popping.
No matter what serving. Welcome.
All right. We're doing full. We're doing quartz. And I'm popping the rustic cryptic vessel, I think.
house of an...
I always...
Decipher.
Ah, thank you for coming. Why don't I read the content? Hide these,
Steal
kill
that,
that,
steal
steal those.
those.
It's all the same. And the people who want them deciphered act as if it's the end of the world if they can't read them immediately. I am a simple, albeit brilliant man. Solving the code is what makes me happy. Perhaps sometimes I...
Find the cave blocked by middle bars of barren swamp. There's a reward at the end of the road. Oh, is that the guy who was waiting there? Oh, okay, okay. Okay, she opened that. Excellent. Okay, what do I actually need? Okay, I need link dodge, right? Pretty necessary, I would say. Okay, what do I need? I need, okay, there's some, okay, it's probably fatal attacks. How many fatal attacks do I get? Probably not even that many. Fable attacks. I get 2 a boss fight. What's stagger? The stagger attack. Personally, never got link dodge. Oh, I got both. Wait, what else do you get on this one? You get the maximum bars, which is nice. Hey. Okay, it's fine. I probably just do that. I like that. I like that. Me likey. Okay. Guaranteed I need rising dodge. Shit is impossible. Destruction to damage when a perfect guard is successful. That seems good. Yeah. Amulet slots, of course, necessary, yes. I think it's this. Yes, I need some of the stamina reduction stuff. I think I need, is this one the one that's good? The guard regain recovery? I almost like get attribute resistance. I liked it. Duration of effect, wait, that's not it. Increases destruction damage to enemies. That seems good. I do like destruction damage. Sure. Not increase cells. Lowers weapon durability. Gradually reduces the durability of inactive. Okay, it's not that. Really? I don't think any item upgrades are useful. Lowers the weapon durability reduction of dodge attacks and dash attacks. I almost gonna get this, man, but I know it's not good. It's probably this, given how many times I run. Increase weight one. I'm down. All right, what do I do now? Is it the stagger effects of charge attacks? You know, I'm probably down for that. And then this is well, it charges one fable, yeah, but it adds up over time, you know. Fable arts. This one is some guard HP is perfect guard. I like that. Auto charge, that seems good. And then this seems good. Shit, I guess I'll do auto charge. Fable charging upon Fable attacks. Well, how does this make sense? Is this the right one? I don't understand what this does. It increases Fable based on Fable. More fatal progress from fatal damage attack. Oh, I mean, I guess it's fine. I mean, I can't upgrade the other ones, right? Like, what else am I gonna get? Oh, wait, that's awesome. And now I have 4 amulets? Holy shit. Okay. I really like the weight limit one, actually. Down for this. This heals. I mean, it's one more than normal, but yeah, I took out some dead weight. Okay, now the real question is, am I gonna use this weapon throughout the game? I have to make a decision pretty soon. Cause like, oh man, am I a bitch? Because if I am, I can just upgrade side. I'll come in. I'm not. I got it. All right, wait. Where did it say to go? Oh, wait, I have the music volume on. Let me turn off my music now. Where did it say to go for the quest? Oh, it's the Baron thing. Okay. Overhead, that's all upgraded. Aaron. This? This? What is this? Yeah, Buster is so good. Ray told me he used Buster the entire game.
Oh, you're here. See? I told you I'd do it. No trace of Alidoro inside, though. And the Hermit's Cave itself is... My next stop is the relic of Trismegistus, one of Alidoro's favorite treasure hunting grounds. I'm curious why he'd go back. Maybe I'm getting the hang of it.
See you later, treasure hunter.
I'm trying to track down... You never... And unlike... And professional...
Okay. This is the secret room. There is one thing here. Wait. Oh, no, there's not. What was that? Oh, there's traps. Oh. Oh. Oh my god. Wait. Oh. Wait, I couldn't even see the traps. Oh, I see the trap. Fuck. Huh? Okay, go down. Tripwire. Tripwires. Don't fall into tripwires. Someone's report. This place is contaminated. There's not much water left. The kind hermit helped me, but he knows it's not going to last too much longer. Terrible mutations with side effects of petrification disease, no neutralization process. Many people crop will turn to carcasses, the octopus monsters. My friends are the only thing that comes to mind in my final moments. Lucamio is ill. Sophia is missing. Lorenzo is lost hope. H is dead, and here I am, Medoro. Richard lives is forever. Each post is something. There's no rewards. Some things are left. Something even power lies can't hide. Someone will unearth the truth. I'm Medoro, the reporter. My weapon was the pen of the truth. Okay, so there's something he left here. Turning lamp. Oh, I can't even tell that it's off. There we go. Yeah, well, I'm doing a side quest. Oh, another quartz. Awesome. Crescent moon. Wait, is that crescent moon what I need? No. I need. There's only. I only can get 8 crescent moons total, right? Or 8 upgrades for my special weapon. I got 1. It's 6, right? I gotta get to the boss after the monster. I'm currently stuck on. I don't know what this is called. Wait, this is a whole side area. I thought it's gonna be a small room and I would go back. But it's not a small room. It's literally a whole fucking place. What? Only side area in the game, really? Yeah, most of the game has been pretty oh my god. Oh my. Right, bitch. Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. What? The other things we farm, no, yeah, but I need to upgrade for the boss weapon. There's not that much up. Debo 46 thanks for subbing to stream. Ooh, black steel blade. I feel like at this point in the game though, you've committed so much to leveling. I guess you have infinite leveling mounts. That's why you can always level more. Not bad. Yeah, I'm surprised there's so much side area here. Okay, I did. Oh, what is this? The water is strange. I'm not sure when it started, but my blood and tears have also turned blue. I've seen a revelation of the blue butterfly. They've asked me to free them from the prison type. Blue butterfly? The fairy is far. The fairy is crying. The hands on the clock have gone round and round. Why do I fear something? Go to find the boy's fortune. Oh, fucking shit. Okay, my bad. Who? Damn, I had this. I almost have it. Oh my. This game fucking sucks, man. This game fucking sucks. How is it? Oh my god. Honest Game Trailers released a video tape for Liza P. Oh. I'm not really familiar with that dude. Dude, I'm trying to dodge and like, oh, I fucking run into this stupid can, man. My soul is just like goodbye. Yeah, replace my 6th sight with this weapon, which requires a lot of fucking skill to use, and I do not. I do not apparently have the ability to do it easily. Well, it's so fucking hard, man. No. I need to watch the speedrun for this game after I beat it. I need to fucking do it. You're telling me this guy, the guy who plays this, uses this sword, parries every weapon the game can hit with no traps, 0 fall damage, just nothing? I guess fall damage doesn't count. It's not considered a hit, right? These are throwables? Here we go. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. Today I'm a beast. Is that a person? Is that the reporter? To protect the people you love, sometimes you take steps. Wait, is that the reporter I've been following? Oh. Someone else? Man. Black cat hunting apparel? Oh, sick. I change to every costume I find just to keep it sick. I heard, yeah, no hitting this game is crazy, but when someone says they abuse throwables, what does that mean? Does that mean that you just throw shit and never like interact with anyone? Oh. Shit, what do I want? The maximum favorable charger seems actually okay. This one seems good. Grinders OP, you get 2 grinds. Regard, oh, I was thinking about this. Okay, how much health does the natural HP regen actually matter? Because I feel like it's like a bait, right? I might just take weapon durability, so I never have to fucking use it. Visible live, yeah, all 3. Also, how good are these ailment things? I'm gonna do this. Not useful. Should grind. Legion consumption. Are you supposed to new game plus? Oh. Okay, is it stagger? No, it's not. Stagger attack? Question mark. Hits weapon when discharged? Even charge attack? It's good if you're getting committed with the katana player. I have to, right? It's literally my entire character. I will be the best carrier. I fucked up. I fucked up. Because I was supposed to play this first. No. Will strategy more damage?
Strange.
Yeah.
It hurts so much.
I know my way around.
So many weapons, man. This is the alchemy guy next to the tree. Did I not already finish that one? gold fruits.
How's the cure for the petrification? Sadly, it cannot cure everyone completely. Victims who have progressed too far have already lost organs. Even if we eliminate the petrification, I leave the choice to you. I'll make the cure if you give me one.
Yep.
Stalker, please. If you pick some gold coin fruit for me. Stalker, please.
Oh, what is this? Oh, it's somebody's specter. Oh, these are wish stones. Fuck, man. I have not even used a single wish stone. I don't really want to. Man.
The cure isn't exactly stable. Give it to the patient.
Alright, I got it for Antonia. Antonia, she the one in the wheelchair? Is she still gonna die? I thought her organs were failed. He's delayed 2 more hours? No way.
People have no ideas. Thanks for keeping. I see your lives. People on the out. I am an old. Make yourself. If you have any questions. I see your.
Wait, what? Oh, you give it to the butler. Oh, okay.
I believed in you, and my belief possibility of imminent death, though. Why won't pain ever leave her alone? Cannot make this choice. Every option is painful. What would you choose?
I think I'd give her the cure. And if she dies, fuck it, she was in the croak anyways, you know?
Yes. I suppose ignoring her. Thank you so much. I will administer the medicine. No matter what, serving her. Welcome to...
Wait, so what was the risk of what I just did? Like, what did I just do? Is there a chance of killing her? Is that what I just did?
Whatever choice.
I saved her, but there was a consequence, right? Is that she's in pain for the rest of her life? But at the same time, outcome, yeah, but like I did something. Also, wait, hold up. What is the weight thing that I'm supposed to be at? I'm at 83 out of, like, I'm at, is it under 60%? Is that when it's good? Under 60, under 30. Okay. Honestly, I'm gonna upgrade the puppet string. Fuck this, man. I have too many Legion cartridges. I have nothing else to do, man. Or 60% weight is normal. Oh no, I want to get the stamina regain. I feel like that's the thing I've been running into problems with. I have enough for a third.
At the house of it.
Hey, Emily Wayne's DMs, bro. She's messaging me right now. Oh, I might play Valo because yeah, it's not up for a bit. Oh, it's fine. It's okay. It's okay. All right, guys, I'm fully upgraded. I am now twice the man I was before. There's literally no way I can lose to this guy. Also, question mark, question mark, question mark. Is the illusion which a human, a puppet, or a carcass? Or is it none of the above? It's a mutant. What the fuck does that mean? Use ass on her? Fuck. Wait, does that mean it's a human? Oh, it's human. Okay, okay. Hold on. Well, I just gotta... That wasn't the right one. Whatever, man. Wow, my damage there did not look balanced. Holy shit. Victor cannot be completed. She may be the owner of the new truly complete elixir. Oh, I fought Victor. My last caliber, yeah. Honestly, the 4th amulet spot matters so much for me because I'm able to... Oh, what was happening?
The hotel is under attack. Everyone's in danger. Head to the hotel.
Oh, shit.
Hurry.
Communication through ergo. An interesting parlor trick. Quite the performance, puppet of Geppetto. But your lies will be useless in the new world. The world of truth.
What could it be? Come on, pal. No time to lose.
Wait, am I going the right way? Oh, let's just go this way. Shit.
Oh no. Hey, so there's something horrible in front of the hotel. It might be worse than what we saw at the cathedral. All right, tighten up your springs and let's go.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna play Valorant with Emily, but I told her to get people, and then I didn't get anyone. Tell me I'm not a beast. Wait, that's... Wait, he's literally on the ground. That's fucking stupid. Hold up. It's because I didn't have the carcass amulet on, and I'm literally gonna just blow away this guy. You guys are gonna be so impressed when I fucking destroy this guy. Just hold on to your applause. 1 second. Wait. Hey, what Discord do you want to use? Looks like I gotta play Valorant, guys. Well, call Emily for this. It wasn't an ambulance.
Hello, Scarra.
Yeah, what's up?
What's up?
I am currently fighting for my life against the boss. What are you up to?
Oh, I'm streaming. I'm watching set 10 gameplay. Are you streaming?
Yes, I am streaming.
Oh, you are. Oh, okay, so set 10, I don't know if you heard, it got delayed 2 hours. So we could play Valorant for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Wait, why do you sound so unenthusiastic?
Yeah. Woo!
Oh, we got Gumi.
Woo! Wait, have you played with Gumi before? She's actually a monster.
Yeah, I played with Gumi before. She's the only one that can carry my heavy ass.
She's kind of good.
Yeah. I mean, is that good? We have a carry. Nope.
Yeah, no, we need one. No, I'm not even fucking with you. Yeah, we need one.
Oh yeah, I also asked Phoebe and Albert, but neither of them, and Jummy, but they all don't know Walter. Hey, thank you so much for the raid. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Scarra.
No, thanks for the raid.
Oh, should we just
Do what?
Or, are we all in the Valorant nerds one?
Yeah.
Is Asa in that one?
Don't know, but you can invite it.
Do I have invite powers?
Hell no. I probably do though.
Thanks, Scarra!
I think...
Hell no.
Fuck! Okay, yeah. Oh, he's already in there. Yeah. Peace. I'll see you there.
Okay.
Not out yet. Hmm?
Yo.
I don't know.
Bye.
Yo, is it Valentine?
I said 10 not out yet.
Where is this warthog guy laying us down?
Yeah, well, 2 more hours is why we're here. Actually, I'm gonna go pee real quick then. And then I'll be right back.
Okay.
It's gonna take 2 hours, you said.
I mean, it'll still be faster in PBE.
Hi.
Hi, Gumi. Hi, Asa. Hi, Scarra.
Hello.
All right, now we need to find one more because we have 4.
Yeah, we need one more.
Jummy's online, no?
He's watching fan
I
cams.
him and he don't me.
He invited me to play with you guys earlier, but I was playing with Ryan at the time. Where is he? Jummy. Wait, he's no longer online.
The fuck, did someone change my password? Oh, there we go. No, I'm good. I'll be right back.
Okay. Emily Wang.
Oh, yes? What's up?
I heard you're a gamer. Is this true?
Oh, no. I am so bad at Valorant. I am so bad that Scarra has offered to coach me.
Wait, Scarra is so good.
Yes. That is... I know.
No, I was watching Scarra play. He's so good.
Where did you see this? Did you look at his clips or something? Because
I was watching him stream.
Oh my god. Well, actually, no. Scarra does have some pop-off moments. This is true. He is good.
Oh, I'm on PBE Valorant.
Oh.
Oh, it's a new agent there. Cool.
Wait, why can't I sign out and... Oh my... Wait, Gumi, can you talk real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, I'll be right back.
Oh my, I freaking hate watermelon.
Wait, Gumi, is that game more fun than Valorant?
No.
I see.
I don't understand.
Oh, Albert said no.
Mr. Bo said no?
Mr. Bo said, I'm out right now, and in 30 minutes, I'm gonna start stream. Okay, but TFT is not up in 30 minutes.
TFT is not up for another 2 hours. Disparage.
Oh, invite Solus? Okay.
Silas, League of Legends.
I just said the dog shit. Hold up, I'll be right back.
Okay, that girl, Ari, is kind of cool, no?
Who's
Why
Ari?
are you looking at her?
Yeah, I'd rather be looking at you.
Whoa, Flush? It's okay.
What?
I look at you all the time.
Riz, right?
Yeah, I look at you all the time every time I see the wanged emote. I really like it.
Alright, I'm out of here.
What the?
What? Don't be jealous, Asa.
Coward. Where's Scarra? How is he still peeing?
Okay, how do I stop how do I like not do the tutorial? Wait, I'm so confused.
You're doing a tutorial?
I'll fucking clean my rug later.
Maybe the game is trying to tell you something.
There's a small spot on the couch. Ugh.
How do I log out?
I'm here. What's up?
Oh, okay, I got it. Sorry, I had trouble with being on Valorant.
I'm sorry. IP is yours. I just stepped on dog shit, which is why it took some time.
Ew.
It happens, man.
Whose is it?
Who knows if it was a dog? You know, I did have a party recently, and during the party, Phoebe was in my room, and she was like drunk, but she was like, yeah, you know, during the party there was like a guy came out of your restroom, and then the girl came out of your restroom a little bit later, and I'm like, oh,
I was literally there.
I was like, oh, I wondered why there were shoe marks in my restroom.
Oh no! No, I think I told you this, that there was some random fellow that was in your bathroom, and he just started speaking Korean to me.
He thought you were Korean?
Well, I did. I'm part Scarra.
You don't have to fake it. You know,
Okay. Phew.
Did you respond back in Korean?
I did, and then his friend was escorting him. He's like, I'm so sorry, he's so drunk. And then he just started slamming against the walls and like the painting outside of your room. I'm like, I'm getting anxious.
Oh, someone did break some of our chandeliers.
Your like chandeliers?
The fake chandeliers, not the real ones. So they broke like the fake diamonds off.
How's that possible? How tall are they?
Oh, they're really close to the walls when you walk down the stairs.
Oh.
Yeah, dude, like when we threw a party, like I knew stuff was gonna get like I put away my fucking salt and pepper because I was like, yeah, the party's gonna go hard. I don't want anyone to get into this stuff, you know. Yeah, and then like during the middle of the party, people just started taking the protein shakes. Bao just started just dumping them. They're trying to hustle your fake chandelier. Yeah, Bao came up to me with a protein shake. She's like, hell yeah, I'm getting fucked up. I'm looking at her, I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Wait, I didn't know Bao was there. Actually, I was taking a nap in the theater room. I was awake for most of it.
Oh yeah, Bao and Numi came undercover, I think.
Oh. Freaking love the boot game.
Okay, do we need one more?
Wait, sorry, do we have a fifth?
Wait, I was peeing.
Oh, I thought you said Solus or whatever.
Oh, no, I thought so too, but like someone lied to me because he's not even on.
Okay, hold on. Let me.
You trusted your chat. I can't.
Let me go look around. Okay, the only person I cannot invite is Weeded. You think that's too good? Have you ever played the game with Weeded before, Emily?
Who?
Weeded Valo.
We did? Oh no, I didn't.
I have never gotten carried harder in my life than playing with him. In my life. He dropped a 40 bomb and I think we lost.
What the? How is that possible?
That's what I'm saying. We fucking like. Oh shit,
oh,
man.
God. Okay, I need to pee real quick. I believe in you guys.
We still need one more.
Because you guys are all popular people.
I'm gonna
I'll
still
be
Ori.
honest, I haven't really asked people. I've just been playing the fruit game.
I'm gonna ask Ori.
Too lit. I messaged Jummy and Mr. Bo, and that was it.
Okay.
Oh, oh.
You take a black light to my bathroom, it's fine. They got deep clean today, so I don't even care. I asked some girls. Oh yeah, let me go ask Kazuha real quick. Yeah, I know her like that.
Oh man, let me ask Shaylon real quick.
You don't know her like that.
I do. She's so poo-poo.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I call her Che Che.
Ew, ew, that was so gross. Holy.
Okay, there is not. She did not respond. Okay, I all in on one person. I'm not gonna lie. That didn't work out the way I thought it would. Lily's busy making a song right now.
I'm Brack.
Yeah.
Oh, let me go ask Obama real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, him.
Why, you beefing with Obama or something? Why'd you say it like that?
Oh. I'm not beefing.
Beefing?
Not beefing.
Bars. Don't know what you just said, but bars. No. I think this stupid watermelon game is glitched. Am I logging on my main account?
No.
No.
Okay. Oh my god, the amount of despair in Emily's voice.
I mean, I'm down.
Don't you guys want a challenge?
No, we're still gonna get a challenge.
Okay, I see.
I'm telling you, even when fucking Yu's on our gold account, I'm like, we're not playing against gold players.
No, there's no such thing as a real gold player.
Yeah, we like the person who like fucking 30 bombed us yesterday was a diamond player. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking good. Oh, sorry, he was a plat player. Yep. And he came into my chat afterwards. He was like, yo, I was just playing. I'm like, yeah.
And then he called you dog shit.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, fucked up.
Good shit.
Do you think I can tell Becca to stop playing League of Legends?
Yeah.
She was playing Ari earlier. Wait, she's not even streaming anymore.
Yeah, she saw the PB went down and she fucking left.
Anymore. It's like we have 2 hours left. I mean, honestly, isn't 2 hours of Valorant fine? Like, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
No, I can play for an hour and 30 minutes. Literally. I have to go
why?
at 6:30. Hard. I have something to do at 6:30. Hard out.
Oh.
Invite Goom Goom. Hashtag Goomy.
I think I invited.
Hold on. Let me
Thank
go
you.
add Solus real quick.
I'm messaging Frodan. He loves
Okay.
Oh, I think Solus is getting on.
Excellent. Just Boolin.
Okay, we got one. We got one.
Not Lethal Company. Yeah, John hit 60. No way. Did he do? No. Did he?
Wait,
do the...
Solus? These games are gonna be really hard then.
Solus good?
No.
No, that's why they're gonna be hard.
Yeah.
Oh no. I trust Gumi. Oh, PB today? Bro, when's PB coming on? I'll probably do PB after my meeting, but I don't want to bait anyone in the title. Is that a Solus Sleep clip? I think so. First time watching today? Oh, I am sorry for what you're about to see. I might just suck ass. If we're playing this game, I am the high chance of sucking ass. Dude, I need a better Guardian skin. I don't know how a Guardian skin I really like. What is this one? Wait, this one's kind of cute.
What happened? What the?
I use the Guardian. I want a good Guardian skin.
I think Solus is getting on right now.
Ion Share.
I think. Wait, is he?
Is this even worth buying?
Add Solus. Are you getting on?
Oh, this one's kind of nice. Gaia Guardian. I think I'll wait for it to come. Is it
He's
Gaia
getting
Guardian?
on. Is he in this Discord? Wait, Scar, can you invite him to this Discord?
If he doesn't have it, it's doomed. We just have to play without it.
Oh.
Beep,
Wait, is
beep.
it?
Everyone has beep beep.
He's not in it.
I'm not in that
where's
one.
Beep Beep? You're not in Beep Beep?
It's fine. I can invite you.
At
Perfect.
Scarra. Wait, Frodan's in Beep Beep.
Wait. So. What are they beeping?
Hello. Oh, we should do the one that says live Twitch. Ah.
All right, guys.
Hello.
Beep 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 beep.
Guys, we need to start, man. I got like 2 games in me. 2 good games.
Okay, well.
Okay, also, I really want to buy the staff. I'm not even lying.
Yo.
Yo.
You want monkey stuff?
Yeah,
Okay,
Lily.
I
It's
bought
like,
it.
It's like, you know
Yes.
what kind of.
I bought it because of Lily yesterday. It's actually lit. I recommend it.
What? It's
Dude, the,
lit.
the staff is kind of nice. I
Wait,
love
that's not-
staff.
Okay. Where's Asa? He said, okay, let's join Beep Beep. And then I joined and he just never arrived.
Wait, does
Beep,
Valkyrie
beep.
take this long to launch?
Not unless
What?
you're cheating.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm here.
I invited you, Solus.
Alright, cue it. Hurry,
Cue
cue
it.
it.
Are we
Cue
queuing
it.
just
Yes,
West, by
rank,
the way?
yes.
Just cue it, yeah,
oh.
keep it, whatever.
Yeah, Solus in Hawaii, and the rest of us are West. Oh, Emily's
It's-
not West. I am so sorry, Emily.
Happy
Oh.
Hawaii.
Oh, I don't care about ping.
I don't care
Oh no,
about
I
pink
don't care
either.
about ping either. Like 100 ping, 2 ping, same thing.
Oh, okay, then let's
Emily,
queue West.
no.
Wait,
Okay, Emily.
Yeah.
I can promise Solus is
If
not.
that's the
cheating.
same thing, you might suck at Valorant.
This is like the
I
Avengers
do.
of Bronze.
Look
Wait,
at
are
me,
we
I'm
bronze?
silver 1.
Oh, I see.
Bronze. I
Okay.
heard you're a Radiant, Solus. What the hell?
Wait, what?
What?
Yeah,
what?
my chat said that we were gonna have. Oh no, Asa said we're gonna have a really hard time with you.
Oh, that.
Asa
No,
said
that's
that
not.
you're
No,
really
we're
good.
gonna have a hard time because
A
we
hard
have
time because
Solus.
of me. Yeah,
Oh.
Wait, I'm stalking Solus real quick. He's silver.
Wait, what? I'm not silver. What do you mean?
Oh, he got gold once, I think.
Wait, what?
Oh.
No. That's kind of fake though, cause.
Valorant's good prices
I mean,
at the
it's
same
fine.
time. I
Where's
see.
Boomy? No,
I
isn't she in
agree.
Cherry? And oh, and we
No,
have
I'm
Asa
on.
in chat.
100%. But on top of that,
I'm
I
so
also
washed. I'm in Diamond 3 right now.
I
That's
also
so
see gotcha
You know,
skin
people
prices,
say
and I'm like,
me and Scarra are not good because
Riptide
we're
LW,
old,
welcome back for
but like
56 months.
Ace is
Thanks for
actually
subbing.
older than us, and he's plat 3, which means it's not an age thing. No.
Wait, what?
No
I'm not
one
that
has
old.
no one has ever told me that I'm low, because I'm old.
Oh,
Not
really?
once in my life.
Really? People tell to me all the time that like I'm not good at Scar. I'm sorry, I'm not good at Valorant because like age.
Pressivit just came in and said this is the most insane Valo stack I've ever seen. Bro, Pressivit, EP guy, you want some of this? Yo, queue up with your team. Yo, get Soja, queue up with your team.
Wait, what? How can we even
Oh,
like
true.
type
We,
them?
we can in-house against Phoenixa, Soja, and Pressivent.
No, thank you. No.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, honestly, if we put Milk on that team, it might actually be even.
Is Milk
Oh.
good?
No. He's like worse than me. I'm not even joking. Like when we play together, he would always be below me.
Dang. He's not even here to defend himself. That's crazy.
He's in my chat.
Oh.
I'm trying to see what he says.
Dude, Milk catches strays all the time, man.
Okay. I mean, honestly, he's
Milk
not that
also
bad. He's
old?
probably better than me, to be honest. Oh, no, he's young. Milk is young. Or, I mean, not young, but like younger.
Okay. All right. If you're young, you're like 16. Okay.
Whoa, that's baby young.
Yeah.
And if you're regular young, you're like 35.
Yeah.
Wait, then what am I?
And if you're old, you're like 50.
Yeah, so we're all young.
Yeah.
I'm 25. Is that
You're
between
like
young and young?
Yeah, you're like young.
Yeah, you're like young.
Oh, which one? Why?
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is going on?
Yeah, our queue time's kind of long.
You know, some people in chat will say like, "Oh, 30 is old," but then like when you actually look at like the people in the planet, like in the world, like you can't actually say 30 is old. There's no way.
You think 35 is technically middle age, but like
What?
people don't think
that
of
is
it like
true,
that.
actually. You've lived
Wait,
half
who
your
says
life
that?
at 35.
People die when they're 70?
What?
Yeah.
Well,
People live till they're 70?
TFT players
the
are
thing
reaching
is, though,
70,
you can't
bro.
really count the first like 15 years of your life, you know?
The thing is,
really?
I thought that, but some people like they're the most formative years of your life. Like when you have trauma because of your mom beat you as a kid,
What
you
is
don't
happening?
get you don't get that older. You know, I can't relive that when I'm 20.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That is
they're
true.
pretty important, even if I don't remember some of them. You know,
you don't
I had a nightmare about school, a couple days ago. I haven't been in school in a decade.
That happens to me like every week, actually.
I swear to
Yeah,
God,
that's real.
it's like I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to do my research for, and I'm like, what the fuck am I saying? I'm not in school.
Wait, I heard your
Yeah, I
dreams
still have nightmares about it too.
are a reflection of what you're feeling. So it's like
What are you feeling?
you're anxious about forgetting something in real life.
Oh, maybe.
Or not
I'm
being
never
prepared.
really anxious.
Then what does it mean when my teeth fall out in my dreams? Because sometimes that happens.
Me too!
What?
Apparently,
I
it has
think
to
that
do
means
with
you're
stress.
nervous. Yeah, stress.
But like, why teeth fall out?
May symbolize anxiety, insecurity, or loss.
Oh my God!
I'm
lost.
sorry for you.
I think it's probably lost for me. It only happens on days when I lose too many TFT games.
Wait, does it hurt when your teeth fall out in your dream?
No.
Yeah, no.
But you kind of watch it fall out, and usually, like, it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Scarfy about all the baddies he has to reply to. Let me tell you who's in my DMs right now. Who's in my text messages? Okay, you're not gonna believe this.
I haven't been
Okay.
sleeping enough to get like long dreams. I just get like
Koei.
some short.
Tomorrow I have a
Vision.
teeth
Vision.
cleaning.
Vision.
That's spam. That's my mom telling me Happy Halloween. That's Chase fraud alert
Oracle.
and my phone bill alert. And that's everything for the past 2 weeks.
Pretty good dreams when I sleep 2 hours.
This
Yo,
Chase
kind of
girl.
long. 6 minutes.
Yeah.
It's really hard to
on?
find people as good as us. Just give it some time.
Yeah.
True.
That just tell P got the queue up with Soju, man.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, then we can find a match.
Yeah. Wait, but honestly, is it because like it's hard to find people as low as us?
No, no, no. That
Whoa,
can't be.
what?
Low.
Or like, what's the reasoning?
I actually don't know. Like you would
trying
like,
to find
in all honesty, we're kind of in the middle of like the elo bracket, so I feel like we should be able to find a match instantly.
We can probably select more servers.
No.
I guess. Okay,
I feel like if we cancel the queue now, we'll never find a game.
Wait, do you guys put your picture, like yourself, over the map?
Match
found.
Oh, I
okay.
only do because it's in the top left anyways, but doesn't really cover all of it. It's like, but it's also because I play with a lot of people who are more popular than me
And get fucked.
and get fucked. Especially the women I play with have the most snipers.
What the?
Like-
Why do you always say
What?
women? What is wrong with
Okay,
you?
I'm sorry. The females, the femoids I play with.
Okay, guys, do you mind if I play ice?
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
Oh.
No, sorry.
No, sorry, you
I
can
didn't.
have
No,
him.
no,
You
I
can
didn't
play him.
understand your game. No, go for it. I'm playing
Do you guys
Cypher.
mind if I play Reyna?
Yeah, no, go for it.
Sure.
Yumi, I'm gonna need you to play Flash
Okay,
and Smokes.
I just bought him today, and I played like I have like 2-3 games to practice on him. So I'm really excited about this guy.
Gumi, do you want me to smoke?
No, I'm okay with whatever. I don't care.
I'm a
Let me
professional smoker.
Yumi mains,
Okay.
Smokes,
then
and
we can. Wait,
Okay, I lied.
play whatever. Play
Okay.
whatever. We play double
Yeah,
Smokes.
no.
Fuck it.
No, I'll fill whatever.
Oh, I
Scarra.
just watched a TikTok about Cypher on this map. Hold on, let me think. No, hold on. Let me think. I'm playing B.
Can't believe you said Che Che earlier.
Che. Yeah, that's my
She would
girl.
not appreciate you saying what was it? Femnoids?
Femoid.
Femoids? What does that stand for?
You know, like hemorrhoids.
Oh, I thought it meant android. Like.
I'm fucking done.
What?
Nothing. Don't worry about it. Yo, wait. Actually, like, how good is Solus? Like, are we?
Oh,
Solus is.
I think my VOD is worse than my league, but I'm pretty good at league.
Wait. It's worse than your league.
Well, wait, you were there when
I saw something from a league clip from you that was
no, that was lag.
very interesting.
Okay.
Wait, Solus is actually pretty good, unironically. I think he's
Oh, I
about
haven't
0K.
No, Solus is actually not bad.
Oh, wait, I haven't played in so long.
Okay, also Scarra, since you're an ISO main, do you buy your E first?
You always buy Vuln. Always here.
Okay.
Because Vuln is like so OP. What?
Also, wait, Scarra, are you actually gold? Because I was watching you play. I feel like
I think if
you're
I
kind of a
played
beast.
really well, I'd be like high gold / plat. But like, I'm probably
see.
exactly
Okay.
where I am.
I'm sitting close to my monitor, guys. I got this.
Focusing.
I fucked up. It's
no one showers.
I think I hear
Here?
a lot of people in the thing.
Here.
Here.
9.
It's fine. We will shoot them.
Like, they're still here. They're still here. 2, they're slowly. No noise.
Is anyone a garden?
No. Yes.
One garden. One rotation back.
You dropped it. Oh, they're 4 in.
Cypher's about here.
Oh my god,
They're all
One
hookah.
enemy remaining.
Wait, Solid?
Yeah. They're still all.
Oh, I'm kind of shaking.
Oh.
What the hell?
You guys are kind of cracked.
Spike spotted B.
These
I'm
guys,
beast. Not gonna lie. Just one tap that guy.
these guys sat here for the entire round. What the fuck?
Oh, I got the special.
I don't even know how the Phoenix got there.
What the Odin? I'm standing right behind you.
Are you guys buying
pick up my Odin,
anything
'cause I'm
or
probably
no?
gonna
Yeah, buy up.
Oh, I'm gonna follow Solus. That's my
what?
buy.
Oh,
I'm buying a Guardian.
This goes here.
Guardiano.
One in tiny. One A short.
Fuck.
I'm gonna wall showers. Is that smart?
Yeah, fine.
I'm coming.
I don't see anyone else.
Oh, I'm leaving.
Yeah, they could have rotated.
I
Okay, so
I'm scared. I'm
No,
protect me,
I think they're
please.
still there. I think they're still there.
they'll see you,
They're here.
and then they'll
Here.
shoot you, and I'll get you trade.
Okay, I'm gonna-
Cage
oh, good.
triggered.
Okay, no.
1.
Wait, we just left A?
One enemy remaining.
Last one's a hookah.
They're dead. Take what's
Holy
yours,
fuck,
please.
jump scare.
I thought that was UTV!
Hold on.
Shoot the bad guys. How's that for a plan?
Okay, I'm buying now. Fuck this.
What the?
I'm too broke to buy.
Okay, just follow Solus.
Yes.
What?
This is a nice
Fuck.
one.
I didn't have an Odin. Just saying.
This goes
Okay, I
here.
have a plan.
Yes,
I'm a
this
man.
should
Oh
go.
my
Who
god,
will
what
see
is
better,
this?
Amir?
Oh, I fucked up.
This is a nice
Oh.
spot.
Oh, I fucked up. I fucked up my thing. God damn it. You might want to run, Emily.
Don't worry, I got this.
I'm gonna run through their spawn.
Pardon?
Uh-oh.
Reloading.
I'm spraying.
These guys are still. What? They're
Are they all hookah?
No, they're coming back. They're coming
Okay,
back.
okay.
Back A!
Okay.
You-
50 on Cypher and Kale, 100 on Phoenix.
Dude,
Oh god, I'm scared. There's still some in hookah.
Emily, you shooting that
There's
your
still some in hookah?
clone?
Wait, what'd you say?
Planning A.
Spike planted.
Am I stupid?
I'm
Be
fucking stupid.
Oh.
Show me a target.
Just sit there. Just sit there. Just sit there.
Last
do not,
player
do not walk
standing.
up. Do not. Someone will
I'm gonna
check.
you win these, you win these, you win these.
Okay, I win these.
Trust us.
3 of them are lit.
What do I do?
Long.
Hello? I said they're gonna come. Wayfarers, welcome back for 54 months. Take your sub. Okay. Okay.
See them yet.
Good econ round.
But I can
Yeah.
feel
First
them
of all,
getting
with
ready.
I
Here.
snagged the Euro clone and it doesn't do anything for 2 seconds. Do not shoot it.
Alright, good news everyone. I found a fill for when Scarra leaves.
Great.
For
Who's
one
there?
game until PBE drops. And his name
Yes,
is Fro
this should go.
Danielson.
Oh.
This goes here.
Oh,
Yeah, he
Frodo's a
loves this
beast.
game.
He's a demon.
Oh, I messed up. What the fuck?
Is that my Odin?
They have a trip here.
Yeah. What you got? One long? 2 long?
Uh-oh.
Joke's over. You're dead.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh. Interesting tip. Oh, the second one's wrong. I don't know how to do the correct one. I need more time.
I'm scared.
First one's wrong.
Spike planted. Enemy spotted B. Still in sight.
One left, one right.
Good attempt here.
Yoda's one shot.
Last player standing.
Oh.
Okay, Asa, I believe in you. 10
Oh,
gifted. If you can
Brim
one
is
me.
also one shot.
There's
Too long, one in the thingy.
One elbow.
here you get sprayed.
I'm scared. I'm gonna save.
You fought well.
Wait, last two one shot. Wait.
Oh, it's hit.
So close.
All right, sorry. My trips are fucked here. Hold on. Let me try to figure out how to do this correctly.
I you watched the TikTok.
Yeah, I got half of it, but the trip on the thing, the window, I don't know how to do correctly.
Oh.
Wow, this is a nice spot.
I'm just gonna do the cringe one. Fuck it.
Yes, this should do. This goes here.
Be short.
You hear them? Carry your showers.
I'm gonna wall showers.
It should, yeah, we're waiting.
Oh.
I killed
Leave,
camera.
leave.
Can I rotate?
Yeah, I got it. You leave.
It's slowed and smoked right now, so they're not coming
My
in.
cam is terrible. This one, but Solus, you're about to hit contact. Good luck.
Yeah.
Oh
So
no.
KO, A main.
Spike's showers.
Spike down A.
Oh,
Nice, that's nice.
Oh, I got that with a flank. Wait, that was
There's-
showers.
No,
I
one
did nice
short.
bubble.
There's one in
TP. Next to TP back.
One enemy remaining.
Focusing.
Fuck, his blind was so deep. What the hell?
Wait, is there someone there?
30 seconds
Yeah,
left.
one
Like in our
pipe.
spawn, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Stabilizing.
Nice.
I'm away.
Good
Oh,
Vaughn.
people!
Good Vaughn.
They're usually distracted once I reveal them. Make sure you take advantage.
I think they're gonna go B.
That goes there.
Yeah,
B
I got.
has been working.
They like B.
Wow, this is a nice
Oh no, I got my setup now. Don't worry.
This goes
Okay.
here.
The hell?
Not that I'm worried, Scarra, but I'm gonna play in B
That
too,
goes
just
there.
for no reason.
Yeah, no problem.
Wait, no, Asa, come back.
No,
here.
you should go. You should back.
Oh really? Okay. I'm listening to Coach Scooby.
It's always
Who's
good to split up our
next?
sentinels.
2.
Oh, that's
Come
smart. I'm going B.
on.
Cage trigger.
Prepare for hellfire.
God.
You don't have to cheat it.
Oh, 72 euro.
Fire.
They're on site.
Tag. Reloading. Spike planted. They found my wire. Camera taken out.
We
I'm
smoke.
scared.
Yo, can you wall like diagonally so we can just look right one direction?
What?
Can you like wall like in this way
Here.
so we can only look right?
1 and 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
1, 2, 1
Look
side.
One enemy
Right,
remaining.
right.
Last one, 2. Nice
Like, he's been-
Oh my god. Wait, those
Have
are
it,
kind of
Wait,
good.
come to this.
Wait, this guy
My
is
thanks.
not silver gold.
Wait, what? I am silver.
Oh, that's what I'm
So
saying.
nice.
Hey, Scarra, this is kind of smart. I've never.
Wait,
What
what?
knew about this.
I was trying to figure out. I was like, I thought you understood, so I was like waiting. I'm like, oh no. Yeah. You just want to wall, like you can wall this side. We just look forward, but like I have no way to get
Holy.
in without
Like-
because I use both cages.
Wait, that's actually cheating as mode.
That's why I was like, oh fuck, man. How do I?
Wow, this
I
is
can't
a
get
nice
in without
spot.
you, pretty much,
This
without
goes
dying.
here. That goes there.
Emily, we cannot play the same area, man.
Oh, okay. I'll play over here.
If you want, I'd rather
I
you
have
like.
gulag. Oh, I got this. I'm gonna go 1v1 someone.
Okay.
I want showers.
PBE is up, by the way.
Someone's grabbing
Oh,
the
yeah, it
orb
is
on
up.
showers. 2 of them breaking it in showers.
Joke's
Oh my
over.
god, Emily's
You're
1v1.
dead.
I'm going.
I think.
Did she win?
Shower.
Did she win? Where are they?
There's one more
Spike
short.
planted.
At least.
One May, one outside, and one showers, I think.
My ultimate is ready.
Cypher short.
Cage triggered.
One enemy remaining.
That's one of the showers.
Right side showers.
I shot him.
Nice.
Oh, you take it. You take it.
You guys are smart.
Thank you.
Wait, Emily, how come you didn't say anything after you ultied?
Okay. My bad. I got the Cypher. I did 140 to him. He didn't even see me for 2 seconds, and I lost.
Observation time.
Oh.
Yes, this should do. No more charges left. Wow, that goes there.
All right.
This goes here.
It's gonna be B. It's gonna be B probably.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. If you want to wait, so I can just scan at the very beginning.
Wow, this is a
I'll
nice
let you know.
spot.
I'll let you know.
All right, I got this.
Focusing. Destabilizing.
What?
Wait,
What? What?
I have a cam on it, man.
5-man showers.
Oh.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Five man
just shower.
No, they could. They could.
Oh
Okay, I want
my
showers just in
god.
case.
Wait, what? That no shower?
It is not
No,
5-man.
I'm saying they could.
Oh no.
How did
I
he
know
even
exactly.
kill me?
They might have an off.
Whoa, they sped that up.
Spike
The
planted.
camera's super OP.
Reloading. Smoke's down.
Gumi, what do we do?
Oh my god, Groovy.
Just
kill them. Just kill them.
Kill them? Okay.
They're gonna be on top. They're gonna be on top of the box. Kill the ones on top first.
Last player
Okay.
standing.
Two of them on top. Two of them on top.
Me next.
I think she shots. Yes.
Gunner.
Oh.
Oh my god. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. We got.
I mean, that was really lit, but it
I'm
was
not-
almost like super
I'm not
lit.
gonna lie. When you said 5 shower, I thought you were serious. So I started
No,
running.
I said they could. They could.
Oh, I started running and I got
fire.
shot.
Oh, no.
Yes, this should do.
Okay, now what? Why am I only the
That
only
goes
broke
there.
one? Wait, Scarra, would you be willing to lend me some money? I
This
promise
goes
I'll pay it
here.
back next round.
Yes, this should do.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a nice spot.
If you want, I can
Ew.
smoke deep and you can walk into the corner.
Oh, I'm just gonna run it. Fuck it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait, no, they're coming. They're coming.
You can leave first, Emily. Don't worry. I can hold.
Okay.
Uh,
I want showers. There's what the heck? There's one here.
you mean do I rotate?
You.
Oh, I am going.
Yeah.
Powerless.
I'm going. Heard the ulti. I'm there.
Where? Oh god.
Look short.
Dude, I'm giga blinded!
Enemy down.
Spike
Where
planted.
is everyone hiding?
Oh, that's not good.
Why is it so hard to like hit
Can you
people?
haul?
Last player standing.
Oh, it's because their movement's not that terrible.
I got double Phoenix blind, double KO blind.
Can I switch? Oh, actually.
Wait, yeah,
Swap
Scarra,
with,
let's switch.
Issa.
Yeah. Let's switch.
Yeah. Okay, I have a plan.
What's the plan?
Trust.
Can we help you?
Yeah, help me. Wait, what? Me?
That goes there.
Yeah.
Usually, when you have a plan, like it's like you need our assistance
This
for
goes
it.
here.
Oh no, I don't need assistance.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Uh-oh. They know I'm here.
I want garden.
I'm leaving. Nice.
Oh my god.
Wow.
That work?
Wow.
Oh,
God.
my.
Oh, so you guys are about to see.
I'm gonna take one of those guns.
I want to take one too, but the other one's in here.
I'm flanking.
They're
Right.
in there?
Here.
If you die, I'll resurrect you.
Oh, there's one on.
Oh, they're
Camera
making
is
a wall garden.
destroyed.
Oh, they're all there.
Oh, wait, that's a fake. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
One fountain, 2 TP'd A.
It's fine. I need a gun. I'm leaving.
I
said
can
you
go
could
try to
res one
rescue.
of
Yeah.
us.
Okay. Is there someone still here?
120
There
on
it is, right?
Brimstone?
Oh, I'm long.
There
I
was
was
one
long,
inviting,
Asa.
he ran. He
I'll
ran.
wait. I'll
He's
wait
gone.
for you guys to go.
Right.
Oh,
They're
I'm barrage.
planting?
Wait, oh. I'm not
Spike
barrage.
planted.
Reloading.
Do I just take this?
There's a
Fuck
trip.
it.
Okay. I will.
There's one right
Yeah.
here. One right here.
Prepare for hellfire.
Oh, he ulted me?
Oh, the misery. I'm not a judge user.
Two shower?
One short.
One short. Maybe two short.
Got 3.
One enemy remaining.
My
Shower
ult.
back. Yeah,
No
fuck it.
distractions.
Smart. Nice.
Oh my god!
If he's. Oh, you can't.
you can't
Run.
What? You
Good
might
play.
get so.
Disbelief.
Wait, you aced that round.
Ever in my
You're-
3 years of playing.
You're a fucking beast. Okay, I'm going back B. Fuck this.
Wait, I kind of like V though.
Oh, you know what's
You can
sad?
stay
I
B,
got
stay
a
B.
beast, and half my chat is still just spamming PvE is up.
Should do. Oh,
Yeah, I
this is
mean-
a nice. This goes here.
Yes,
Yes,
up.
this should do.
It's up.
Emily, can you swap with Ace next round?
Oh yeah, sure.
No, Gumi doesn't want our sentinels on the same site.
That goes there.
Oh, am I a
Oh,
sentinel?
hey.
No.
It's okay.
No.
Wait, oh.
There, hookah. One long.
Reloading.
I must wait a moment.
Joke's
I
over.
found my
You're
wire.
dead.
Oh my god, he saw my gun sticking. That was bullshit.
No.
Alright, I need to change my trips because they actually shot that one.
Launching smoke.
Spike
Launching
planted.
smoke.
There was one hookah.
There's two up.
Last player
There's
standing.
two like on site.
Enemy down.
One more backside.
We're in TPs.
What the?
PTB'd here. It's on hookah. One hookah.
One enemy
Three
remaining.
bullets. You're insane.
Oh my
Hold on your
god.
Holy fuck.
What the hell was that?
Clutch.
Do we win enough?
Yes,
Who's
yes,
the
yes.
old dog now?
Last round before the switch.
Hmm.
We cannot keep up.
Oh,
with
you
the
already know.
Spend all.
Oh,
Can
okay.
someone get this?
Wait,
Oh,
I'm switching with Asa, right?
No,
Or-
I mean, it's fine.
Oh.
I need to change my trips. These guys are already owning me. Where is it?
Oh, this is a nice spot.
There it is. Oh my god. That's the trip I've been looking for.
Yes.
Holy
this
fuck,
goes here.
man.
Show me a target.
Well, wall shower.
I'm dead.
I'm leaving.
I am going to go this way, I think.
They did get short.
Oh, nice kill.
Now we're cooking. My ult's ready.
I'm ulting it.
Open up the sky. Stim beacon here.
I'm waiting.
Smoke's down.
Spike planted.
Oh god, I saw him, I think.
Alright, let's get him, Emily. I think he's close left.
Reloading.
One enemy remaining.
Last one triple, last one triple.
Got it.
Nice, Scarra.
Oh, nice.
Well, 6-6.
You mean 7-6?
Spike
7-5.
7-5.
Oh god.
Yeah,
PhD
I mean,
players.
numbers, you know?
Oish.
Switching sides.
If they try something, I'll see it.
You think we need a trip?
Probably with Yoru.
Fuck.
Here, Scarra, I'll teach you a good one.
Yeah, yep.
So you can do one
Right
from
here.
here. That
Right
reaches
here.
here. But then
Right
we won't
here.
have this trip.
That reaches
That's only if you
where?
have 2 trips. Yeah, you can reach it from
Right
here
here.
to here.
Oh, this is a nice spot.
Oh yeah.
This is terrible. I don't have 2
What?
trips. I'll have 1.
Oh, okay. You can put it normal.
That goes
I'm
there.
gonna stimmy us. We should go fast.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going.
That's a
Mhm.
Yoru code.
Stim beacon down. Launching smoke. The carrier's down. Fire. Got the
Spike
spike.
down B.
Reloading.
No, he's close.
Breaking them.
Reloading.
First
Cypher's
go
here?
or no?
Launching
He went
smoke.
left side.
Reloading.
I guess you can go now.
We can go. We can.
You
Let's see all
can
3.
say Emily. You can rest him PP.
Yeah.
Last player
Oh,
standing.
he's
No
camping shower.
way.
Dang.
I
All right,
know
hero buy or
what
what?
must be done.
What?
Hero buy?
Don't worry. I'm taking a gun. You guys don't need anything else. I got a gun.
Is that like Hero
Yeah.
Augment where?
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
Hero?
It's like
Okay,
chosen.
All right.
I've
don't
got
worry, sorry.
enhanced
Ours
power.
chosen one.
Wait, I thought you can only have 1 hero though.
Oh wait, why is Solus buying up?
Thumbs up. Let's go.
Oh, my
I-
gosh.
Someone
Oh, I-
walk behind him.
Hero
Someone
mode.
walk behind him. Free gun.
Okay, I will.
All right, I'm walking behind him.
Wait, I'm not walking behind him.
Got the spike.
Emily, there's one short. Okay.
Someone look.
Oh, he left. I think he ran.
Oh, he jumped.
Oh,
he
someone
jumped.
saw us.
Enemy spotted A.
There's 2 A.
I'm gonna go heal Gumi.
Oh,
We're going.
I'm leaving.
There's 3 A. Solo Cypher B.
Okay.
Wait, I'm gonna go get that gun from the guy Solo killed.
Careful, he was long. He was jumping me
Smoke's
long.
down.
Hold on, let me
Focusing.
look inside. He's on my side. He's on my side. He's right here. He's right here. He's right here.
Okay. I have the bomb, by the way. Does anyone else want it?
Got the spike.
Get in.
Guardian is killed.
Reloading.
Spike down B.
Retrieve the spike. Cage
Enemy
trigger.
spotted B.
Do you need TP, Scarra? Oh. Yeah, TP, Scarra. TP.
Have a
A.
cool flank.
Or had A.
Yeah, we have
Wait,
A.
let's go back A.
I'm pretty sure there's no one A.
Yeah.
Cypher removed.
You should plant open.
30 seconds left.
I have
Follow me.
heal.
It's kind
I
of
heal.
open.
Alright, Scarra and Solus. Who should I heal?
Me. Fuck Solus. Fuck
Me.
Solus.
No, I'm coming for you.
Oh, it's too late.
Wall that shit off. Wall that shit off.
Scarra said fuck Solus.
Oh, wait.
Wait, what?
One enemy remaining.
Wait,
Okay.
where is this guy? Is he in between us?
You could have flanked.
He's not B.
Showers.
I'm bad.
Wall him up. Fuck it. He has a Bucky.
Nice.
Well, good 4K.
Wolf is actually killing a lot of people.
Yeah, you're owning.
Yeah, I
fight
cheated.
is a
I
lesson.
bought.
He bought a
bought.
Spectre. Wait, it was actually Hero
He
buy.
said 147 Apex to someone who's
Like,
yeah.
Heroes on our team and it worked.
I went
Yeah.
Scarra's backup.
Okay, wait. How do I do this fucking trip?
So you do
Right
one here to
Right
here.
This goes here.
Right here. Right here.
Yes.
Like
this
that?
should do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go through the hookah.
Okay.
Show me a target.
You made a fuckload of noise.
Destabilizing.
Smoke's down.
Wait, hold on.
Stim
If
beacon
Emily's
down.
ballin', I'm ballin'.
Okay.
Oh, is this considered ballin'?
Molly.
Cage trigger.
Wait, there's no one here. What the heck?
Cypher shipping here.
Right
You can be
here.
in his
Show
smoke.
me a cage trigger.
Yeah.
Help.
Reloading.
I'm planning.
I have planted the spike.
Reloading.
Launching
He's
smoke.
supposed to
I'm playing off with you.
I got playing hookah.
My eyes are down.
No one's flanking. 'Cause
I must
we
wait
have
a moment.
trips up
Okay,
south.
yeah, that's
Reloading.
true.
Oh,
Where's
I don't
it
know why I
planted?
just did that.
Right here.
He's fun for long. One elbow.
Watch me.
Oh! He has a Judge.
Have this cut.
The Cypher.
One enemy remaining.
Tagged and tagged.
Wait, are there cool guns around here?
Cool guns.
No, that's a
Well,
safe
oh, you can take mine. Mine's kind of cool.
They're just batteries. And I need a return.
Oh, I have a cool gun, Asa. Boom.
Gun here.
Oh, thank you.
I think the Solus guy is just trying to like rush as many games as possible. Or rush in and like kill as many as possible so he can place at 10.
Oh, that's kind of a good idea.
Hold on. Let's one shot this guy. He jumped. No, he's not gonna.
Okay, there's a camera up here. Or somewhere. I saw it on the minimap. I mean, I don't know where it actually is.
Wait, that's kind of sweaty. You look at me enough for the cam.
Oh, that's a cam I use. What the fuck?
Oh,
I think that's the most common cam to use. Yep.
Wait, I've never seen a cam there.
Oh.
Oh, that's scary.
I've
They're leaving A. I'm scared. Okay, let's go A.
Okay, let's go A.
One's backside. He just run and guns me? He TP'd back.
Don't worry, I'll rescue
Wait
you.
a moment.
Okay. Nice.
Alright, I'm caging myself on. Please protect me.
Cage triggered.
Okay. I'm gonna wall here. I know our teammates are on the other side, but you know.
Oh, nice.
Oh, 80 on Yoder, by the way.
There's one heaven. No.
You're so brave,
I know
Solus.
exactly where you are.
One line, 2 CT.
Last player standing.
2 U-Haul.
No way.
No.
Oh, my crosshair was so bad. Damn, we're gonna go like 17-17 and never play PvE.
Scar,
That's
don't. Why would you ever
crazy.
say that?
That's a
Wait.
crazy statement.
Isn't that a Q?
Yeah, you might want to log on right now.
Did anyone bring a snack?
Look, can someone buy me? You guys are so rich. What the heck?
Are we rich?
We're not that rich.
Well,
Who are you?
Asa's rich, and you're rich, Scarra. Asa?
Well, did you pay Scarra back?
No. I'll pay you back,
okay.
though. I promise.
Alright, pay me back first.
Damn, what the fuck?
That goes there.
Safety's off.
Wow, this is a nice spot.
Damn, no one heroes out of hookah. Careful, the guy plays B long.
Show me a
I
target.
think if you're
He's close.
Who trained you? My ult's ready.
Reloading.
No, I
One
did
B long.
140 and guarded.
Enemy spotted B. Reloading.
Backside, backside, backside.
Next.
My ult is ready.
I can't.
You're ulted?
You're,
If
yeah,
you can hear.
he's in hookah-ish.
Reloading.
Next to you, Emily. Oh, next to us, next to us.
Oh, what the fuck?
I didn't hit anyone.
Yeah, I'm down to TP. There's 2 here.
Your was
Are we
close.
leaving?
Like,
I want to kill. I'm not even kidding.
Wait, we're going
it.
in.
No. Just
Yeah,
wait.
go
Someone's
Move
yeah.
down.
I'm gonna alt.
Fuck it.
fuck it.
Off that ping.
Oh god.
You got Cypher?
I got Cypher.
Fuck it. Going in.
30 seconds left.
Cage triggered. Cage triggered. Careful now.
Last
Oh
player
my
standing.
god. It didn't last
Spike
long enough.
down, B.
I don't know the
Wait,
timer
Yumi,
on
I
it.
believe.
One enemy
Down you
remaining.
go. Got the spike.
10 seconds left.
Wait, I didn't know the time of it. Does anyone know the time of it? Is it?
Spike planted.
Can I plant in time? Like with one full, and that was like a second off. Wow.
No.
Wow.
NT.
Man, that guy's kind of sneaky.
I lined it up with his head too. Is he BMing right now?
He's trying to get along. He knows we're waiting for PvE.
Yeah, he's delaying the PvE.
When we go out there, someone
Wait,
dies.
can we actually like play
Carry
PvE
that
though?
weight.
Wait, what?
No, we're here for all the whole time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, true.
Well, I mean, you got to start logging in.
Oh, we can.
We can't.
Yeah, we're on Valorant.
Oh, I thought PvE and Valor were different.
It's still a League client.
Are we buying?
Oh,
I can afford nets with this.
Yeah, I'm light.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something
Me
crazy.
and Emily can afford next too.
Wow.
Spike down.
Wait,
A.
he could do that?
What'd he do?
He could TP here before I get over? Oh, I fucked. I dropped the spike.
Still on.
I dropped the spike in a bad spot. But I've never seen someone get there that
Can someone
fast.
come with me?
Wait. A little.
It's because I walked, right? If I just ran back here, there's no way he gets that.
I can smoke this.
Stopping fire. Got the spike.
Okay, I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
We might have A.
Oh.
Nope.
Oh, do we have A?
No. There's one in hole.
Should we just...
Wait for me. Oh, there's a cam? He's looking at his cam over here. You can't see. It's good. You can't see.
Alright, should we go?
Oh, I thought you were saying he's standing there.
Okay, I'm going.
Okay. Oh, there's two.
30 seconds left.
Fine.
They're leaving. They're
They're
leaving.
leaving.
It's 1B, 1B.
I'm gonna plant.
Oh, okay.
Wait, was that? Should I not have?
You're good.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
There's one in heaven. Or,
One left in the A side?
Yeah, A heaven. One A heaven.
We turn to dust.
What the?
Oh no.
There's one
Emily,
CT.
just live your life. Just live your life.
Okay.
The Cypher is 5 HP.
The jumping Odin.
Okay.
Drop down.
I'm
One
hiding.
enemy remaining.
Oh my god,
We got
Gumi.
Nice.
That's bingo.
Oh, my heart.
Wait, I got 6 kills. What happened?
Why is
Just
Emily
keep
like
seeing
me
it.
plus Scarra?
Wait, we shit talked her too much.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay, wait. I think because I walked up here, he can get here without using teleport. I messed up. I just gonna run back corner. Fuck this, man.
All right, let's
All right.
win 3 rounds in a row.
I'm coming with the bomb. Now we're cooking. Try wall. Probably not, right?
Yeah, you can.
Oh,
You are powerless.
I don't know where I'm supposed to be standing.
Oh fuck.
Joke's over.
I'm over Yuri every time.
Oh, I only did 120. You hold. 120. You hold. 120. You hold.
Oh, I'm blind.
Last player standing.
What? Wait.
Be at peace. My ultimate is ready.
I was flashed.
Your
Teammate.
Oh my god.
Wait, I thought our teammate was the one inside you, my bad.
Oh.
I mean, it's fine. Scarra's KDA is so much worse than mine now.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, because like... Okay, my bad.
Oh, I think you always wall there, by the way. At least gives you cover to play around.
Oh, yeah, I tried to wall, but then the KO ulted me.
Oh.
I think the Brimstone always plays hookah either here or here if you walk up on him.
Yeah, I'm down.
Alright.
Okay, yeah,
Let's
I'm
all
down.
walk up on
I
this
walk
guy.
in.
Show me a target.
Oh, I made noise. Fuck. Yep.
You want to just jump? Oh. Try not have done that.
No, it's fine. I'm looking outside.
Open up the sky. Molly.
Oh, so let's kill someone.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Focusing.
This guy just double trip.
Launching smoke.
Do you have sight? No,
Yeah.
Oh, that's a fake. That's a fake. There's a brimstone behind the wall.
Cage triggered.
Oh.
One elbow.
Oh.
Spike down B. Last player standing.
I know exactly when.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, I should have killed the brimstone.
Let me try to figure out how to.
No more doubts. We're ready.
Yeah, I'm getting owned.
I don't think I've done anything in like 5 rounds.
All right. I have a solution. Hey, so you take
Tell
this.
us.
I need to not play last one in, or like.
Okay.
The way to plant the stuff here is so bad. Man.
I think. Oh.
Emily, go.
Just go?
Engage.
Okay.
Yeah. Put up the wall.
Wait, I'm
1 shower?
knifed.
Wait, you don't have a wall?
I'm KO knifed.
Oh no, I
2
mean
shower.
Emily.
I think. No, 1 shower.
No, I don't have a wall.
They broke my wall.
Oh god.
Wait, you guys do not have to go on. You do not have to go on.
Oh god.
Oh, it's kind of late for
I'm
that.
making noise.
Carrier's down.
No.
Spike down A.
Scarra, you
Last player
bastard.
standing.
What? What'd I do? Watch this.
I've seen Scarra win.
Whoa.
Damn.
He heard your camera and then whipped his head back at me.
Oh, my bad.
Deep
No,
breaths,
I was
everyone.
doomed.
Your hearts are.
Yeah. Wait. Okay. Am I? Huh.
Okay. If you.
I think.
I think we default.
Yes.
Okay,
I'll play long.
We kill the trip onto the window. Kill the trip long. And work up in different places.
Okay. Yeah.
I have retrieved the spike.
Why did you give this back to me?
Oh. They will get a spike for free if I have.
Yeah, it's true. Keep blinded.
Cypher playing B. I mean A. I'm gonna put a fake smoke down. A.
I hear a lot of running.
He jumped with this.
Okay.
They smoked on A.
Oh, that's Joel for me.
Oh god.
Okay.
Oh my god.
It's not over for you, Solis.
I'm dead.
Reload. Where I belong.
Push it! Wall elbow!
Cage triggered. Cage triggered.
I'm blind.
Reloading.
Neutralized.
He's near me. I'll guard
Where
it.
is everyone hiding?
Reloading.
Oh, he's like doing some.
One enemy remaining.
Hello?
Spike down B.
Nice.
Oh my god, he came out of the corner next to you, man.
Holy fuck.
What do we learn by fighting ourselves?
Alright.
Thinking out loud.
Man, this thing is expensive.
Dude, they're not even flanking ever. I feel like these trips are fucking a waste. Fine.
Oh, this is a nice spot.
Better safe.
Yeah, that's true. They actually never flank.
I don't think they played
feeling.
0 times this game.
This might actually be a 17-17.
No, don't say that, Solas. We're winning the next 2 rounds.
I'm gonna call that on purpose.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, to him, Emily. Get his ass.
Okay, I will.
Take it?
Wait!
Gotcha.
It's okay. I got you.
God!
Smoke's down. Molly.
Joke's over! You're dead!
Wow. Dude, I should have.
Last player standing.
120 on KO.
Spike down B.
KO's backside.
I'm scared.
Nah, you're good. You're good.
Wait, they're both lit. Oh,
Nice
Andy.
try. Oh god.
Damn.
Match it's not gonna be a 17.
The enemy only looks composed.
Okay.
Oh. Oh, I'm poor.
Alright, fuck it. Rush A.
What's the plan? Okay.
I don't think Emily is ever gonna pay us back, Scarra.
No, that's
Okay,
not gonna happen.
Hey, so
Wait, Emily.
next game. What?
Wait, Emily, buy out. Emily, buy
Get a
out.
wall. Yeah,
Oh
get a
yeah,
wall.
what am I buying?
It's not round.
Get wall.
Buy everything you can.
Yeah, rush
I have
A.
a wall, I have
put
a
up,
wall.
Yeah, put up the wall. I'll go in with Odin.
Okay.
No.
Go.
I'm a fan of.
Last player standing.
Oh.
Spike down A.
Oh. Never seen her, Lucy.
You are powerless.
Wow.
See ya. Well, sir, I can't use that.
It's okay, he didn't get the ace at least.
Defenders win.
True.
GG.
GG.
Alright, time to install this game, guys.
At 10 time. But yeah,
Are you guys all on PvE?
it was actually really fun. I got an ace, Puggo.
Wait,
Well,
starting a lobby?
I got
We may
6
have lost
kills.
the war, but we won the battle.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. My PB password is
Uh-huh.
Yeah. What is it?
Did it work?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Oh, you can
Okay.
say it out loud. We'll help you remember.
Is that capital I?
I saved it somewhere because I don't remember.
You're telling me you don't have the same password for everything?
No, it's a Riot only password. They gave it to me, and the guy who gave it to me left the company. It's in my Discord somewhere. Let me think.
Wait,
can anyone
waiting
name
in
old
queue.
riders?
Wait, what's your queue? It say like 1 minute.
Yeah, it says 1 minute. I'm in 970.
What are old riders?
An old
I'm
rider.
470.
No, it's a rider, a league
I'm
rider,
in.
or a TFT rider.
Yeah, I think I'm in too.
Fuck. You guys, no, I'm not asking you guys. I'm asking you guys are naming. Do not type anymore. You guys are all wrong.
Ryan?
Wait, why can't I click the play button?
Fuck.
Queue up.
What is it called?
We are having trouble talking to some leagues. If the problem persists, please reach out to player support. How do I queue up?
Wait, I forgot who gave me my PBE accounts. Like every PBE, I have to figure out the
Wait,
name
my
of this
play
person
button's
on
not
Discord.
working.
Yeah, no, my play button's
just gonna
broken too.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
join a
Hey,
lobby.
what the heck?
Oh, it just takes a few minutes.
I'm gonna go play some math. I need to figure this out. What is it? Who was it?
All right, guys, I'm gonna go play some games with my chat.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for the Valorant game.
Yeah,
Bye, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye, Emily.
Wait. Why like? Yeah. I'm gone if I can't figure out how to do this.
Oh, same.
What are you gonna do?
I need to figure out what was the name of the rider who gave it to me that left. I do this every 4 months. I keep forgetting to save. His name was.
Oh, my play button's here.
Hey, what? I don't have it.
Oh.
It's Jover for me.
Unlucky. My play button's here too.
Oh no.
But my play button only lets me do PvP, co-op, training, create custom, join custom.
Isn't that everything?
Oh, no, never mind. I got TFT.
Wait, add me. Asa.
Nico Del 5, welcome back for 2 months. Thanks for
A?
subbing.
Asa. Did that work? Did I send it?
Probably.
It says AA Sa.
Yeah.
Okay, I sent it.
I don't remember.
What?
Oh, I
I-
can't sneak into my viewer's lobby. It's over
But
for me.
I don't remember. Oh no. I'm gonna type every letter in the alphabet till I find it.
Okay, Scarra, once you figure it out, you can tell me, I'll save it for you, and then I can remind you next set.
Wait. I'm gonna post it in a chat to you. I don't even care.
Oh wait, you said you don't use the same password for everything? Well, never mind, actually.
Oh, you know what?
We can do it.
Wait, add Solus PBE. I'm on.
Okay.
Soulless PvE.
Soulless PvE. I added.
Oh, I think my friend list is full. Let me unfriend some people.
What the hell? Fucked up.
Oh, I think that's why I didn't get it either.
What the hell?
Okay,
Fucked up.
I got you. V Gumiho.
Wow, how'd you know?
I
All right, try
I
now.
still have not found the person.
Invite to game. Did you get it? Hey, so. Oh, you're joining.
Is this person? No,
I
it
think
was
it's just
not.
really laggy.
I'm
This
joining
person?
Solus's.
No.
I've joined.
Dude, this is so depressing. Okay. Is it
Close the lobby? It's loading kind of slow.
D X C?
Oh, wait, how come Emily's back?
B?
Wait, Scarra, are you loading in? We can wait for you if you want.
Wait, I told you I don't know my password. What do you mean?
Doesn't know his
I'm
password.
looking for it. It's an ex-rider who left the company, gave me their DM'd it to me on Discord once, and I don't remember.
Oh, I think Discord, like, they changed the way Discord saves DMs, where it's like it won't show up in your list unless you messaged them recently.
No. I look every 3 months. I find my password this way.
You look
Every 3 months, I forget and I try to remember. It's not Lunch Boy. It's not. Fuck. It's.
All right, we started.
Oh,
Goodbye, Scarra.
Who was it? Goodbye.
Oh, Scarra.
Wait, I can't start a game.
Dang.
No, it's in static.
Messed up.
Okay, that's fucked.
Maybe make someone else leader? Maybe that
Sure.
would work?
All right, you're leader now.
It doesn't even say I'm leader, it says you're a leader.
You can queue by yourself, and you can queue with people. Now what?
What?
What? I'm gonna put a lasagna in the oven soon. Attempt to join queue failed. An unexpected error has occurred.
All right, you guys
Okay.
can do this for 20 times maybe. It worked like last time during PV.
Dude,
I don't think we're gonna get to play, guys.
Guys, what's the name of the rider? Yeah,
I don't know.
You guys talk to riders, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me.
Wait,
give me
he
some-
worked on TFT?
Yeah.
Is his name Kevin?
I need his riot name.
Delim.
No. That's a good one.
What kind of rider
I
was
don't
he?
know any TFT
Like,
riders.
TFT rider?
It was yes.
Is he an X rider?
X rider.
Oh, Green Tej?
No.
Lunch Boy?
No.
Is it Odyssey people?
Might be. I don't think so. Wait.
I know the Odyssey people. Aesop, XDME.
No, it's oh fuck.
Green
It might actually
Fusion.
still work at Riot.
K-Mix?
Tryndamere?
Is it a T?
Gunner 62.
No. Maybe I just look at dude. If I have to look at my DMs, I have to go back so far. You know what? Fuck yeah, I'm gonna look through my DMs. I'll find it eventually.
Will we get a queue before Scarra finds that account?
Wait, do you just keep pressing and praying.
Yeah. Happened like the last time during PvE.
The first day of
Wait,
PvE is always
Emily's
fucked
back.
anyways.
Hello.
Oh, I'm back because I couldn't create a game.
I see.
Oh.
You
But,
only
like-
join us.
Oh shit! I got
because-
Mad Life as my the very bottom.
Oh. Oh, did Riot see?
No.
Okay, are you kicking people, Solus, or are they just leaving?
They're leaving.
Oh.
Oh, Pocky said he got in solo queue.
Okay, should we just try solo?
Who are these?
I mean, probably.
It's actually fucking Doom.
Yeah, someone else in my chat said it really only works solo.
I think I think they redid the.
Wait,
the
what about a
the
custom
system.
game? Do you think that would work?
Say less. You cannot have custom game in PvE, no?
Wait.
Sorry, remove that.
Oh, okay.
Like TFT.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't
Okay,
know
I
what
don't
it
know.
is. Guys, I can't get
Oh,
into
wait, I can
PvE.
queue. Go solo queue.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, pop?
What?
No
Just
pop?
accept your queue bad.
Okay.
What is it?
Goodbye, coach.
Goodbye.
The PvE of help your brothers?
Goodbye.
No.
Goodbye.
Yeah, you can't save for password. I don't think.
Oh, mine worked too.
Pop?
Pop.
There's no way we're gonna get in the same game. There's probably like 100 games popping per second.
No. The thing is, there's ever more.
Oh,
I don't think my
so there's
PvE
no
ever
way
works,
we're
but I
gonna
just
get in a
look at
game with
viewers.
Emily.
Oh.
What's that supposed to mean?
Alright, let me check my
Oh.
message tree real quick.
Wait, how many times does it pop?
Pop?
Pop.
Pop.
See?
pop,
Where's
pop.
the queue?
We are not in the same queue.
All right, everyone.
Oh,
everyone
it's in.
go. What?
Wait, what? The year?
Oh, I'm in too. I'm in.
Oh, I'm pretty sure we're in different games.
I'm sure we're.
Unless-
I'm 100%
Unless
sure. we're in
Emily
different
reaction
games.
time is actually like, you know.
Oh wait, I can look in their Riot section. In the
In
the
the
thing.
obituary?
Wait, it's
Obituary?
none of these guys.
Obituary? Wait, Solus, are you on Game is still in progress?
No. Oh, it's not looking good for you. I'm in game.
Oh.
Oh, I'm in game.
Wait,
what?
This guy quit. This guy quit the fucking team.
All right, bye guys.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
I'm also gone.
Bye.
Peace.
Goodbye.
I'm here to give emotional support.
It's doomed. Maybe I just make a new one. Can I make
It
it?
keeps canceling my queue.
Do I swear I saved my password last time. I ran into this issue, but I can't find it.
I don't know. Look in your notepads. Look in your documents. That's where notepads are saved.
You're watching it right now? I mean, yeah, I'm just gonna make a new Riot PB account. PB, what? Wait, but then I lose my special account that gets to skip queue.
What the?
Yeah.
Wait, I asked for one of those and they told me it didn't exist.
Right. They don't exist. Yeah.
Bro, what
Ye-
the fuck?
Yeah, they definitely don't exist.
What?
Is Alawi? Jin, Keen, Lucian.
Also, I cannot get in a game.
Yeah, me neither. They grayed out my find match button.
Me too.
So we're banned.
No, we are not bad. Riot is bad.
I said banned, man.
Oh. I'm sad. It's
Okay,
okay.
my find button is back. I just had
guess-
to rejoin.
I can either watch someone play set 10 or I can watch Scarra try to log in.
Someone has a username Poggers12? There's no way. All right, I made my accounts. I think I'm just wait. I can't sign in. Oh, I'm in.
Nice. Dude, my queue is popping like crazy.
You know, the best part is it's too late. I gotta go. I can't queue. I baited everyone to stay.
Oh,
I can't play the game.
Yeah, I have to go in 15 minutes and I come back.
What?
Yeah. You know, I'm gonna go ahead.
Oh.
I'm the host. I'll be back. I'll be back after.
I'm in a game, coach.
Wow.
You want to coach me through a game?
This guy here. I'm out, guys. Peace. I'll be back after.
I was joking, but okay.
Sure, sweet.
Wait, I'm out, guys. Goodbye.
Goodbye. See you